My closest buddy suggested we trade secrets. One of his for one of mine. No backing out. Now I can't quit obsessing over holding onto his without sharing mine. Marcus mentioned it at our regular poker game. We were over at his house as usual, the same 4 dudes we'd been hanging with since university. He set down his beer and said, "Let's spice this up, one real secret from each of us." The room fell silent. Our pals Rick and Shen fidgeted in their chairs, seeming uneasy, but Marcus kept eyeing me with a strange fervor I'd never noticed before. I figured he was buzzed, just trying to create some chaos since he was on a losing streak, but then he added, "I'll start," and his voice wavered. He shoved all his chips into the pot like he was betting everything on something far beyond the game. The space felt tighter all at once. Rick tried to speak up, but Marcus raised his hand to stop him. "I have to say this," Marcus told me, staring right at me. "I've needed to for 12 years. He took a big swig, placed the bottle back, and the story spilled out. He admitted he'd been the one who tipped off the IRS about my dad's company when we were high school juniors. Anonymous report, full details on every infraction he uncovered by snooping in my dad's office during a sleepover at our place. My dad lost it all. The company he'd built over 20 years vanished in 8 months of investigations and lawyer bills. We sold our home, crammed into a 2-bedroom rental on the other side of town. I changed schools for senior year. My mom couldn't cope with the pressure and embarrassment. She split from him 6 months later, went back to her folks in a different state. My dad turned to booze. Still hasn't stopped." Marcus's hands trembled. He explained he did it because my dad had embarrassed his father at a business mixer. Cracked a joke about his tiny accounting practice in front of possible clients. Marcus was 16, furious, and aimed to strike back at my dad just as hard. He hadn't realized it would blow up my whole family like an explosion. Hadn't foreseen my mom leaving. Hadn't expected my dad to stay broken. The room was dead quiet except for a phone vibrating on the table. I sensed Rick and Shen gazing at me, anticipating my response. Part of me wanted to smash the table. Part of me wanted to break down. Part of me just went numb, like this was unfolding for somebody else. Marcus seemed scared but also unburdened, as if he'd lugged around a corpse for years and finally dropped it. His eyes were misty. He said, "I'm so sorry, I know that doesn't come close. But you needed the truth," he gulped. "Now your turn." See, we'd agreed. One secret for one secret. No take-backs. That was his rule, and Marcus always stuck to the rules he made. He gazed at me expectantly like he just paid for entry to my darkest shame with his own admission. My secret? I've been hooking up with his wife Vanessa for 8 months. It kicked off at their New Year's bash when Marcus conked out early, and Vanessa was sobbing in their room about feeling so isolated, how he put in 80-hour weeks and hardly noticed her anymore. One thing turned into another, then more. It became Tuesdays and Thursdays when Marcus believed she was at yoga. She confided last week she's ditching him, that she loves me, that Marcus sensed something wrong but had no proof, that he snooped her phone twice and found zilch because we'd been cautious. She said she's just biding time for the perfect moment to break it to him. I stared at Marcus across the table, saw the remorse there, the dread, the wish that I'd pardon him. He'd just handed over his lowest point, the guilt that had gnawed at him for more than a decade, expecting I'd trade mine back. Rick and Shen watched me, waiting. I grabbed my cards, glanced at them without really looking, and said, "I got no secrets, dude. Nothing that heavy, at least. We're cool." Marcus's entire frame slumped in relief. He actually teared up, reached over and clutched my hand, thanking me for getting it, for staying his friend despite it all. My phone buzzed in my pocket, a message from Vanessa asking if I'd spilled it yet. I still haven't figured out if I ever will. My neighbor's college-age son pounded on my door, looking ghostly pale and out of breath. I signed a thing I never should have. They're showing up for me in 30 minutes. Help me sort this out, please. Tyler was 19, studying business, good guy, no trouble ever. His fingers trembled as he pulled up the agreement on his phone. I'm a paralegal, handling employment law for 8 years now. I deal with shady deals all the time. Bosses slipping in unlawful terms, non-competes that fall apart in court, arbitration setups meant to cheat employees. This one hit me hard. It was a mentoring deal with a tech firm named Future Forward Ventures. They'd wired him $5,000 straight to his bank 3 weeks back. In exchange, he had to fork over 15% of his earnings for the next decade. Every gig, every salary, plus a $50,000 penalty if he bailed early. They had a setup at the business school's job expo, Tyler said, his voice breaking. They called it an investment in my potential, like a grant. I skipped the details. The document ran 47 pages, packed with confusing jargon meant to baffle. Hidden in Section 34 was a provision allowing them to check his financial records. Section 41 handed them rights to his school files, resume submissions, even his LinkedIn profile. They claimed all top achievers need guidance, he added. I get regular coaching sessions and connections. How many sessions so far? I asked. 0. I've messaged them 5 times. They always say they're setting it up soon. Typical. The company's head was due at 4 p.m. to grab Tyler's computer, banking details, tax papers, the works. Just 23 minutes left. I rang my supervisor, Richard Morrison. He's practiced employment law for 3 decades. He answered right away. How binding is modern-day bondage dressed as mentoring? He chuckled, then got serious. Hold on, you're not joking? I snapped pics of each page and sent them. He rang back in less than 2 minutes. This breaks laws in 17 ways. Income-sharing pacts must be filed with the state. This isn't. The rates beat legal caps, that exit fee is outrageous, and they're aiming at kids, tripping consumer safeguards. They're arriving in 20 minutes. Delay them, I'm noting it all. If they push, we'll crush them. Tyler's bell chimed. Peeking out, I spotted a man in a pricey suit, mid-30s, slicked back hair, fancy watch, leather case. I swung open Tyler's door first. You the guide? He grinned, all polished and rehearsed. I'm here for Tyler Chen. Tyler's going over the deal with his lawyer right now, you know, the one expert in workplace abuses and shady loans. His grin slipped a bit. This is a confidential pact between adults. Confidential pacts can't ignore state labor rules, slap on killer interest, add non-competes for unregulated fields, or skip registration as finance tools. Tyler stood rigid behind me, scared stiff. The man moved to enter. I barred the way. Tyler's underage for contract smarts in coercion cases like this. He's 19, and you pitched it as learning support while building it as a steep loan. That's deceit. I raised my phone. My boss was on speaker. This is attorney Richard Morrison, bar number 847293. I've examined the agreement. It's invalid on 6 counts. If you try enforcing it, we're reporting to the State Bar, Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, and Attorney General. The man's color drained. Tyler agreed freely. We have his sign-off. Tyler's a teen you preyed on at college with loan sharking masked as mentoring. We've got proof on 4 other kids at 3 campuses you pulled this on. That was a guess, but his flinch said I nailed it. His mouth tightened. You can't back that up. Your LLC started 8 months ago. Your site lists 12 wins, but 0 real mentor quals. Your terms? Lifted from a collections firm, I spotted it in 90 seconds. Richard's voice boomed. Go now, or I'll tack on harassment. The man glared at Tyler. You're blowing a big chance. That $5,000 was an unlawful advance, I interrupted. Not a handout, so under lending laws, you repay it. Not him. He walked off silently, and now on to the next video. The guy who ratted me out to my family triggered a domino effect that ruined my life, and I've never been more grateful. Trevor rang me up precisely 2 weeks after Jenna and I split. I know because I'd been tracking the day since I walked away, praying the nightmare was over. His tone was weird right away, strained and anxious, like he was delivering bad news about a death. Jenna filled me in on what really went down between you guys, about how you mistreated her. A hollow feeling dropped in my gut. What do you mean? She shared it all, the texts, the captures. I can't believe you pulled that on her. His words had a sharpness I'd never caught before, not after 12 years as buddies. Trevor, none of what she claimed is accurate. She spent 3 years tearing me down. That's why I bailed. He chuckled. But it was cold. She warned me you'd act like the victim. She predicted you'd spin it just like this. Listen, I'm gonna date her because she needs a guy who'll treat her properly. You're picking her over 12 years without my version? I've heard plenty. The call ended. 90 seconds. That's all it took to kill a bond that began in middle school. 2 days on, he blocked my phone. Then texts poured in from shared friends. What'd you do to Jenna? Trevor clued us in on the mess. No one would spill exactly what she'd alleged. When I tried to clarify I was innocent, one pal snapped, back off. 3 folks blocked me that day, 4 more by week's end. I dialed Brandon, one of the holdouts who hadn't ditched me. Just level with me on what folks are saying. He exhaled like this was the last chat he wanted. She claimed you were possessive in the relationship, that you cut her off from her circle, that she was truly terrified of you toward the close. That's false. It's the total reverse of reality. Dude, I'm lost on who to trust. I'm bowing out. He cut the line before I could reply. 5 days post Trevor's call, they began sharing couple pics. Jenna's note said something about feeling secure at last. My phone blew up with messages. A dude from my college freshman days texted, Man, I always sensed you were shady. I pushed back. None of her stories hold water. She's fabricating everything. He left me on red. Then Jenna ramped it up. My colleague Rachel took me aside, seeming super uneasy. Hey, this is tough, but somebody hit me up on LinkedIn, probing about you. If you'd ever acted hostile at the office. My stomach plummeted. What'd you say? I said no, of course, but figured you deserved a heads up. I jumped on LinkedIn. The profile was bogus, but the pic matched one from Jenna's Insta. She was targeting my career now, aiming to get me canned. The following week, Mom phoned. Sweetie, I got a disturbing note from Jenna's mom. Mom, ignore whatever she wrote. It's lies. She mentioned Jenna's scared to seek a restraining order in case you lash out, that she's concerned for her well-being. My words broke. Mom, Jenna's deceiving everyone. She's peddling falsehoods to all my contacts. I never harmed her. A thick silence hung. I want to trust you, but why invent this? Because I dumped her and she aims to wreck me. More quiet. We'll discuss it soon. She didn't sound sold. In the meantime, Trevor began running our regular game nights at his place, with Jenna as his girl. I lounged solo at home, flipping through people's Insta stories. Comments flooded Jenna's updates, hailing her as tough and courageous. One chick posted, "So inspired by you owning your story." 47 likes. I was utterly alone. My work hung in the balance. My mom questioned me. Everyone I'd known forever pegged me as abusive. Then at 2:13 a.m. on a Tuesday, my screen glowed. Trevor's name. I picked up. "What?" She betrayed me. His voice was shattered, like he'd lost his core. I stayed silent. I spotted texts on her phone with a dude from her gym. When I called her out, she just cackled like it was hilarious. I struggled to absorb it. Then she spilled the actual facts about you and her. He was weeping now, full-on sobs. She invented everything. The screens, the tales, all fake. She admitted she doctored the text to seem legit. She wanted to crush you for leaving, and I aided her. Rage surged. You spread that I was a threat. You let her hit up my coworker, even Mom. You never bothered asking me. I get it, Trevor said. Forgive me, please. I'll set the record straight. I'll mend it. I recalled 2 months of exile, everyone buying her act. No, it's over. I ended the call. He dropped a full admission in the group chat, and I responded, "She manipulated you. You betrayed me." Here comes the next story. As we were paying at the supermarket, she glanced at my wallet, shook her head, and said it loud enough for everyone nearby to catch. "So, this is all you have?" I felt every eye in the queue shift our way. The cashier paused mid-scan, a jar of sauce still gripped in her palm. My girlfriend Vanessa was glaring at the 320s in my fist, like they'd offended her whole lineage. "It's plenty for the food," I muttered softly, hoping to avoid a fuss. She barked out this piercing laugh that bounced around the entire register zone. Barely. "Lord, when will you land a proper career instead of that depot gig? I'm sick of being with a guy who scrapes by from one check to the next." The lady behind us abruptly got absorbed in her cell phone. The young cashier shot me this sympathetic grin that twisted my gut. An elderly gentleman, a couple aisles away, shook his head, likely figuring I was some lazy partner who couldn't support her. But here's what Vanessa had no clue about. I own that depot and 4 more scattered through the region. My grandpa started his shipping firm from scratch, with just 1 rig back in 1987. When he died 2 years back, he willed it all to me. I was 23, abruptly managing a multi-million-dollar outfit with more than 200 staff. Most folks would have grabbed a luxury condo, snagged a fancy ride, begun showing off online. But I recalled my grandpa's words, "Wealth reveals folks' true colors." So I stayed on the floor crew, in the same blue jumpsuit as the team, cruising in my ancient Honda, staying in my simple flat. When I bumped into Vanessa 6 months ago at a cafe, I presented myself as a depot staffer. Not exactly false. I did labor there, I just owned the place. She came across as kind, grounded, always chatting about craving an authentic bond, not something superficial. I figured I'd snag someone genuine. "Can you at least transfer me the cash for last week's meal?" she added, stuffing items into sacks herself as I settled up. "I'm weary of always footing your bill." "It's humiliating." That meal was $47 at Olive Garden. I tried to cover it. She pushed back, said she aimed to spoil me on my birthday. "And those show tickets I got us? Nearly $200. You haven't reimbursed me for them yet either." Her volume was rising, and I noticed other customers lingering to eavesdrop. I passed the cashier the bills. "Keep the change." "Oh, high roller," Vanessa sneered mockingly, tossing away a full $1.50. We headed to my worn-out Honda in the lot. She hopped into the front seat, right away scrolling her phone, likely messaging pals about what a failure I was. The entire ride to her place, she wouldn't stop. "My buddies keep wondering why I stick with you? Jessica's man just gifted her a Pandora charm. Taylor's dude flew her to Miami last month, and here I am with a guy who shares starters to pinch pennies." I parked outside her complex but left the engine running. "What are you up to?" she questioned. I dug into the glove box and retrieved a tiny velvet case. Her eyes bulged, her jaw dropped wide, her expression lit up, beaming with thrill. "Oh my gosh! Oh my gosh! Are you— No!" I flipped it open. Inside sat a folded check. "This is the surprise I had planned for you this evening. Full payoff of your college debt. All $43,000. She gawked at the check like it was in some alien script. Her fingers trembled as she lifted it, inspecting closely. Where did this come from?" "Because I'm more than a depot worker, Vanessa. I run them. 5 sites over 3 states, $30 million in earnings last year." I observed her features shift from bewilderment to stun, then the creeping dread of truth sinking in. I wanted to find someone who'd care for me without the cash factor. Someone content with me in work clothes, splitting snacks. I snatched the check from her shaky grasp. "You just shamed me publicly over $60 worth of food while I was set to transform your future." Her complexion went pale. "Wait, no. I didn't mean— You meant every bit." I caught precisely who you are at that counter. Please, let me clarify. I was just tense. I didn't. You broadcast to strangers that I couldn't take care of you. You griped about a $47 meal while I held a check to erase your loans. I stashed the check back in the glove box. Now you see what I possess and you'll never touch a dime. She attempted to reply, but words failed her. I spotted tears welling in her eyes, but they weren't from regret. They were from grasping she'd blown a jackpot. Get out of my car, Vanessa. Can we discuss this, please? Her tone broke. I messed up. I was dumb. I do love you, I promise. You love what I own? That's different. I leaned over and pushed her door open. Get out. She lingered a second longer, likely brainstorming any fix, but we both knew it was hopeless. Here is the next story.